So let me talk to you next about how I develop my skills. Here's what I see as the great gap between the haves and the have-nots, and it will get wider and wider and wider. The path to the American dream used to be very simple. Get the highest education, get a good job, climb the ladder, get a pension, get the house with the white picket fence. Easy, 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 no big deal. Well, today, the world is flat. We're all technically connected to each other. Now your competition isn't the business down the street. It isn't your local chamber of commerce. It's every chamber of commerce in the world, as well as every second bedroom and basement occupied by a teenager and a laptop. They're all your competition. That has set up this epic opportunity of better than ever in human history. It has also created epic competition. So it is not going to be your academic degree, and it's certainly not going to be your corporate training that's going to give you the advantage. It is going to be your ever developing and evolving skills, your emotional resilience, your ability to adapt to change, your ability to present, your ability to communicate, your ability to network, your ability to develop personal brand. I'm talking to the choir because you're here. But at the same time, this is the great divide. Few people will have the ability to proactively go out and develop their skills, and so the have-nots will get bigger. But the haves will also get bigger, and the bridge between that gap is a skills gap. So let me tell you the philosophy that I learned very early on when I was 18 years old. Somebody said, here's how you want to structure your financial life. It's a 10-10 plan. So you want to take the first 10% of any money you make, and you want to give it back to help others. We've all heard that, right? Tithe 10% to help others. But this is the other key point. You want to take the other 10% and you want to tithe it to yourself. You want to use 10% of every dollar you make and reinvest it in your own personal development. Now, when I made $150,000 a year as an 18-year-old, $15,000, no big deal. You make $500,000, $50,000, you make $1 million, $100,000, you make several million, it becomes more and more difficult to spend that kind of money. However, interestingly enough, the top CEOs, the top athletes, the Olympic champions, they all have the highest paid coaches they can find. Why? Because they know that that is the separating factor to them going on and becoming world champions. So take 10%, this is how you fund your skill development. 10% of all your income goes back into reinvesting in your own personal development. Brian Tracy, very early on when I was still a teenager, I learned this from him. He said, for every dollar you invest in your personal development, it adds at least $30 to your bottom line. Now, where can you go get a 3,000% ROI anywhere in the financial markets today? Where can you get a 300%? Where can you get a 30%? So, instead of putting it in your 401k, instead of putting it into the savings account or buying equities or stocks, trust me, the best investment you possibly can make for your economic future, for your retirement plan, is to invest it in your own evolving personal development. So, we talked about the mind, and let me just give you two things to just always run it through. There are two things you need to do with your mind. There's an old Cherokee tale. Grandfather's talking to his grandson, and he says, grandson, inside each of us are two wolves, and they are at war with each other. And one wolf is a bad wolf. It's angry, it's fearful, it's nasty, it's lazy. And then there is a good wolf, and it is giving and loving and abundant and disciplined. And the grandchild looks up at the grandfather and says, well, which wolf is going to win? And the grandfather smiles and said, whichever you feed. Inside each of us is a bad wolf and a good wolf. Anything you see on news media, any heinous act you see other human beings doing to the world or to each other, inside each of us lies that potentiality. Everything you see is a part of your nature as well. But what gets demonstrated determines what's been fed. My mentor, Jim Rohn, said, you got to take the worst of your nature and drive it into a small corner. And you got to take the best of our nature and you need to build it and embolden it and make it and grow it. And so realize at all times you are feeding one of these two wolves inside of you. And the one that will win is the one that you feed the most. So number one is protect your mind. Go like this with your mind as much as possible. I personally do not ever listen to any news media at all whatsoever. I know that some people think that's crazy and it makes you ignorant and all the rest of that crap. I seem to be doing pretty good. I am really cognizant that inside is an 8-year-old brain, and I do not want it subject to just whatever news media wants to fill it. Now, I just suggest for you, go on a news media diet. If you need to figure out what's going on for 20 minutes, be very selective, fine, but protect it vigilantly, because it will be the path to your door. I mean, I can't walk through an airport without Wolf Blitzer being on, and he's throwing the Situation Room. The world's coming to an end. Every freaking 5 minutes, the world's coming to an end. So number one is protect it. And then number two is to feed it. Number two is to find as much clean, clear water as you possibly can flush through it on an ongoing and regular basis. And so I consider the feeding of my mind like a race. And it's a race between everybody else in the world. How often and how abundantly can I feed my mind positive and instructional and inspiring messages? And so I suggest every time you are driving in your car, my car does not move without gas or some sort of instructional CD going. Some CDs I've listened to 60, 80 times. The Challenge to Succeed by Jim Rohn, I've listened to that thing 80 times by now. Same thing over and over again. I'm not even really listening to the message, but it's elevating my mind anyway. So while you exercise or work out is a great time, feed the mind, feed the mind. While you walk the dogs is a great time to feed your mind. Now, if you're lazy, you can walk the dogs like this as long as you got your personal development on. Really lazy, make the damn dog drive itself. You sit in the passenger seat, make sure you're feeding your mind. Brian Tracy also taught me this E to E ratio. What separates the 5% who are wealthy and the 95% who are not. That 95% spend their spare time on entertainment. The 5% spend the majority of their spare time on education. This is the great divide between the haves and the have-nots. How are you spending your spare time? Now, I'm not saying you don't ever have any entertainment. Of course not. Everything in moderation. But this is the average consumption. 8 hours a day is spent on entertainment. It doesn't always have to be television. Facebook and all that other social crap that's unpurposeful is also entertainment. Chit-chats in the hallway, gaming, all the other stuff. It's entertainment. It's fine. Entertainment's okay, but in small doses. Certainly not a third of your life every single day. Half your life, if you consider 1/3, is at sleep. Don't do that. So, curious, here we are in a high-minded room, but just be honest. How much personal development training are you doing each and every day, consistently without fail? A rounding error of 0. Anybody at 0? That would be not the right room. Less than 20 minutes? Okay. 20 to 60 minutes? Fair enough. Good. Thank you for being honest. More than an hour? Okay. Wow. Just definitely a different room than you normally are talking to. I'll tell you that. So fantastic for you. Obviously. Fantastic for you. So let's talk about developing your skills. Here, just give you my personal plan. Okay. I'm trying to give you some framework and some context about the systems I use. One of the things I see as an epidemic within our learning process is that we're learning a lot all the time. We're constantly feeding ourselves, new information, but we study very little. We're always looking for the next new information, but we don't stop to take the information we learn and then to go deep with it, to create study. So I want to give you my 1-1-5-3-1-30-35 plan. It's kind of catchy, huh? I was listening to Brennan yesterday. He said you have to have a sequence. Well, that's my sequence. So let me show you the sequence. Number one is take your number one goal, whatever your number one goal is. Okay? What is the one skill that is going to determine the most to you accomplishing that goal? So let's say in the expert space, it might be learning how to write really great, or it could be learning how to present, or it could be learning internet marketing. Whatever the way you think the most important skill is to accomplishing your goal, identify it. And then next, take 5 books on the topic and go immediately to Amazon and order them. This is what I do. I pick the skill, buy 5 books, go buy 3 DVD or CD programs, and then pick one seminar and go to it on that skill. One time for me, it was relationships. My number one goal was creating more intimacy in my marriage. So I bought the top 5 books, I bought the top 3 CD and DVD programs, and I went to a seminar. And then this is how you consume it. It's a lot easier than you think. It's my 30-30 plan. In the morning, when I first get up, first thing I do, put my iPhone on 30 minutes and I just read for 30 minutes. I'm going to get through those 5 books over a period of a month or 2. And then I listen to the instructional audio for 30 minutes each day while I'm driving around, working out, or walking the dogs. That's it. That's my personal development plan. The reason why you create extraordinary results is the consistency of that small discipline compounded over time. Oh, I got a chance to weave that in. That's it, simple as that. And then this is the 5-step study program that I go through. As I'm going through that material, I'm studying that material, focusing on that one skill. Then I'm extracting the 3 best ideas. It could be a 300-page book, but I'm only looking for 3 ideas, because if there are 100 ideas, there are no ideas. So just get 3. You can put it back on the shelf, you go back to it 4 months from now, get another 3, but just isolate it to 3. See, again, we're so overwhelmed with so much that we pay attention to so little. So you got to will it down to the little. Number 3 is act. I implement one idea right now, this week. As soon as I get the idea, right now, this week, and I practice it. And then I measure the improvement over a period of 30 days. And then I do this plan, do, review, where I review it, I adjust, and I do it again. And then I review it, and I adjust, and I do it again, until I've mastered the 3 skills of each of those 5 books, those 3 CD programs, and that one seminar. And at the end of 90 days, your skill development and that one skill that's most important to your one goal is unbelievable. People don't do that. They come to seminars, they collect notes, they put the notes in a drawer, and they think that they're empowered. You're not empowered until you've created an implementation and an integration program that you're constantly reviewing and adjusting and reiterating on.